Always hit the button. Hey,
Hi, everybody.
Good evening, all you minties, and welcome back to another episode of Reelz Talk. Why did I almost
really
forget
that bad? I thought you were going to say, was it really that bad?
Welcome back to another episode of Reelz Talk with your host, the amazing Amanda, and my lovely co-host, the Uncanny Omar. Look, I'm getting so much better at knowing where to point. How you doing today, Omar?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Yes, good. Tevin, I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, we won't be talking about Invincibles tonight because we're just going to focus, since it's the season finale of Falcon Winter Soldier, we're just going to focus on that. And then we're going to do next Friday's episode. For those who didn't watch the Wednesday show, we're going to be doing next Friday's show is going to be talking about all Invincibles. So the 7th and 8th episode, because the 8th episode is going to be the final episode for that show. So we'll be talking about all of that next week. Because I haven't even watched the Invincibles episode 7. My husband started it, but I had to come up here and do a meeting with my team at work because we were practicing our Jeopardy game that I'm going to be using for a course next week. I know none of you care about that, but that's what I was doing. So that's part of my job. And so he watched it, but I did not get a chance to watch it because then we started playing It Takes Two on the PS4, which is a phenomenal game, especially if you're a married couple, because it really does take collaboration and communication to play that game.
Who needs therapy when we have video games?
Man, I'm telling you, Omar, I don't know if you ever played it, but your brother, Tommy, is the one who said...
My brothers played it. They're not married.
Yes, I know. Your brothers played it together, and they said, you might like it. So, yeah.
It don't sound like that. What the hell? So hopefully everybody has now seen all of Falcon Winter Soldier, all 6 episodes of that series, and we're going to be talking about it with some spoilers and maybe some things we kind of want to see in the next season.
Yes.
If there is a next season, or if they're going to go the Captain America movie route. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I got issues with that article that populated.
I got issues with Amanda having issues already. But the other thing I wanted to plug. The other thing I wanted to plug was our show for next week, which I'm really excited about, and that's next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
That is we're gonna build our own Dark Avengers team, purely on the MCU characters. Not really. Well, I may have to borrow some characters from the comic books that could appear later on in series like Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. So. Or who might show up in Shang-Chi or Eternals. But it's all speculation. It's a lot of fun, but join us for that. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about Winter Soldier and Falcon. Gosh, I keep calling it that.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let's talk about it. Spoilers alert. We're going to go through the whole thing. So let's start it off. So this episode starts off right where pretty much the last episode left off, with the GRC council evacuating after everything kind of shut down. Carly's team is in action, and Sam and Bucky, because I guess Sam, in the interlude between when Sam was about to open up the infamous Wakanda box and the end of the show, at the beginning of this show, he must have called Bucky and said, get your ass to New York City because it's about to go down. So, of course, we got Bucky on the ground, and he's also has another person that Sam called in a favor from, and that is Sharon Carter with a nice, cool digital mask disguise to start off with. But then for the rest of it, she's just herself.
From Civil War. We saw that. Civil War. Black Widow used that in the Civil War movie.
That's right. So it's good to see them bring some callbacks from previous stuff coming in there. So, yes. So obviously... So they're trying to get people evacuated, but then it becomes evidently clear that Carly doesn't want everyone evacuated, or that Carly wants everyone evacuated, because obviously they're trying to get the GRC council in these 2 large escape trucks or armored trucks that their people are controlling. Because remember, we have come to find out that there are many people who support the Flag Smashers, even within these different governmental secret bodyguard groups and things like that. So in the meantime, Sam, we finally reveal his awesome Captain America costume, very much like what you see in the comics. It is on point. It looks fabulous. He looks fabulous in it. It comes complete with heat vision, which is great especially in a scene we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's a pretty awesome suit, has his wings and everything. And so the first thing he has to do is, of course, fight Batrick, who we forgot maybe was there. So he's pretty much trying to keep Sam at bay, which is Carly's whole plan. And once Sam realizes that's the case, he kind of disposes of him for a minute. Of course, he doesn't kill him, just gets him out of the way. Then he has to go save some folks who are in some helicopters. And we have some awesome scenes of him trying to use now he has 2 red wings, not even just one. Like, this Wakanda suit is major upgrade. He's got not one, but like 2 little red wings.
Vibranium wings, right?
Vibranium wings. It's like, what an upgrade, man.
Dude.
And that's what you found.
That's all I can find. I can't find Captain.
I thought you were going to screen grab it. This is what you were doing.
I'm looking. All right.
Yeah, and he has some really cool stuff that he has to do. Like, for instance, of course, he has a database. He scans the people inside the helicopter, finds out one of the women was an Air Force pilot who can fly helicopters. So he manages to get connected to her and kind of goes through a quick little plan to remove one of the flag smashers who's flying the helicopter, to get her to take control of the helicopter. So thus by saving the day on that end. He also gets out the rest of the people in another helicopter and then kind of lets that thing smash into the sea or whatnot, or into the river. Sorry, because this is New York City. Meanwhile, we do get Bucky still in the building. He gets a call from Carly, and obviously this is Carly's way of trying to stall him, but he does his own best Sam Wilson impersonation of trying to talk her down from what she's about to do, trying to tell her, don't go down this route, don't do this. But at this point, just like Zemo had said, Carly is twisted in her radicalism to the point where she cannot be saved. And it becomes abundantly clear after, they're waiting for the 2 armored trucks to go through with the GRC council members. And she's having a conversation with her flag smashers saying, like, I don't care. We'll kill him if we have to. We just got to stop that vote. We're not trying to try, even if we can't reason with them, we'll just kill him. And they're like, wait a minute. And this is very much along the same veins of maybe Eric Killmonger, right? In Black Panther, very similar vibes. Like, at this point, violence is the answer. And that is kind of where Carly's at. So while she manages to intercept these 2 armored trucks, then who shows up but John Walker as still his version of Captain America with his really janky handmade Captain America shield.
I felt so bad for him, man.
I felt so bad for him. And so he fights. Obviously, he still has the super soldier serum running through him, but of course, he does not have a vibranium shield, and he definitely doesn't have the confidence and the, the wherewithal to really fight these people and to get up when he's knocked down, which is a little bit surprising given that the man has like several Medal of Honors, but he, struggles in his fight. Meanwhile, Bucky's down there too. He's also fighting. He's trying to save the people from the council when they try to put the armored trucks on fire. And he uses his arm, really awesome one-armed metal arm strength, to pull free some of the people from some of the armored trucks. And just when you think that all is lost, then Sam shows up with his shield and just pretty much, is able to save the day in a way in that aspect. But then him and Carly end up having their own showdown. When Carly runs away, she ends up running into who else but Sharon Carter. And then through their conversation, we have come to find out that she started working with Sharon Carter, eventually betrayed her. And of course, were we all not expecting her to be found out as the power broker?
Surprise!
Surprise! Because that's who Sharon is. Man, that girl got around in those years when she was in Madripoor. So they're having that conversation. Then Batrick shows up, hearing the conversation, saying, well, I demand more money now, man, if I know who you are to do what I'm going to do. But if luckily Sam doesn't hear any of this, he shows up. He's able, of course, at the same time, there's a big kind of shootout where Carly shoots Sharon shoots Batrick, and I think that's how it goes.
Dude, yeah, she was kind of cold.
She was cold. She's a different person.
Yeah. Patrick may be dead. Not that he was one of my favorite characters, but
I'm assuming he's dead. Yeah, at this point, well, he could be still alive. Who knows? He could.
How many French super villains do we have in the MCU? Not a lot.
Not a lot. Yes. So it'd be cool to have one French villain, I guess, and to stick around.
I like it, man.
So Sharon Carter's trying to fix herself up. Sam, of course, comes in, and then him and Carly pretty much have a face-off. And
dude, Carly's gone. Like by now, I'm just like, get rid of this kid, please.
Yeah, because there's no reason to save her at this point. She's like, as far as like, even though
she's what Zemo said. I mean, she's a lost cause.
Yeah, he said she's a lost cause, and even though, yeah, baby, I found a rabbit. Oh, cool. Okay.
Is it real? Or is it a man wearing a rabbit outfit at your door?
I hope it's real. I hope it's not a man. I hope it's not a man in the costume. Anyway, so not through his fault, but she does end up dying. So she does end up dying. And then Sam, there's a beautiful scene where there's the aftermath. Oh, you found it. Where he comes and flies in holding her body. And keep in mind, like at this point, everyone has seen him now in his costume. There's a great scene where him and John Walker and Bucky had to all team up before Carly ran away. And that's where Patrick used this this tear gas to kind of create a smoke screen. And of course he could see because he had the heat vision in his goggles, but they couldn't see. So when she and her people escaped, they couldn't see it. But there's a really awesome scene where some guy's like, is that the Black Falcon? He's like, or is that the Black Falcon or whatever? And he said, no, that's Captain America. That's what the other guy said. So it was really awesome to finally hear Sam being called Captain America for the first time. And then after he comes in with Carly's dead body and gives it to one of the EMS or one of the paramedics so they can go ahead and take her off, which obviously we know at this point she has passed away. The council members are thanking him. You have news reporters, you have everyone everywhere. And then Sam has probably one of my favorite speeches. It made me tear up. I'm not going to lie. And he's pretty much just talking about, don't stop calling them terrorists. Stop creating them and making them seem like the other. Listen to what they have to say. And you have to understand. And even though the senator keeps saying, it's too complicated. You don't understand. He's like, whoa, I don't understand. And of course, everything he says is on point. The only people making the decisions are people who will not be affected by the decisions that they're making, right? And he kind of gives this very passionate speech that I think a lot of the GRC members, if not took to heart, nonetheless saw that it was being broadcasted everywhere and realized that if they didn't do something to kind of mitigate what happened, then they wouldn't necessarily get the public agreement that they needed. And so you have a great scene. You see Isaiah watching it with his grandson, and his face as he's watching it is just, amazing, just full of emotion. And then you have the great scene of even Torres watching it, and you're thinking to yourself, he's getting inspired. He's my next Falcon. He's going to be coming up there. I'm so excited. And you even see Bucky. My favorite part is Bucky. His smile the entire time while Sam's giving this speech. It's just like a proud papa moment. He's like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is why Steve chose you, man.
He says,
yes, Griffin X, thank you. I'm a black man wearing stars and stripes. You don't think yes, that's what he said. And it was fantastic. Wait, you don't have Disney Plus? Oh, I wish you did so you could watch this because it was a great finale. Not without its flaws, of course, and we'll talk about that, but it had the effect that I think they wanted to achieve. So that's the most important part.
I think that speech is a really powerful one because it puts a lot of things into perspective, and one can look at it in different ways. One can look at it. Somebody earlier in the chat was saying about how woke this show was. Yeah, and I can understand that perspective, but it's not every character. That's the beauty of Sam. Sam is trying to figure out why he deserves the role of Captain America, And I thought that was a really cool moment, in episode 5 when he realizes it, because you have one character that is completely against white America, right? Like,
Isaiah,
he has every right to be because of the way that he was treated. That is his opinion, it's his choice. And even though things like that have happened to Sam, like getting racially profiled, or the thing at the bank that totally went over our heads, but he still chooses to believe, which I love that part of the speech when he says, "I guess my power is," what did he say? Like, I believe we can be better, something like that.
We could be better. I think someone else had put it in there. The do better, be better. Thank you, David Codd. Do better. We have to do better. We have to be better.
But he did say my power. He's like, I'm not, I don't have blonde hair, blue eyes.
That's right.
And he said, I guess my power is something about, like, I believe that we can be better, something like that. I thought that was well delivered. Like, it wasn't, to me, that didn't feel in your face, because I also hate things that are in my face when it comes to these kind of stories. And I thought that was delivered really well. It shows a man in the middle, like literally a man in the middle, making his own decision, making his own future, and being the voice for something that isn't right, but also is not completely absolutist, right? Like, difference between him and Isaiah is that's white man's America, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Sam would not label everybody in the same way, even through the things he's been through.
And Greg, you bring up a good point. The speech it was not trying to say I'm right, you're wrong. It was saying look at things a different way, and that's what Sam was trying to say. Someone that's in the chat said he was talking down to them, and that I think Phil said nothing he said was on point, which, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think everything he said was on point, because the Flag Smashers, their goal, there's a reason, and he brought it up. There's a reason why so many people clung to that ideal, because they believe in it, and then they just want these government, entities just want things to go back the way they were, because they think, well, that's how it was. What are we supposed to do? That's the best thing we know how to do. Instead of looking at what could we do to be better? Let's just put things back the way they were, right? Things have obviously changed. People have obviously changed. Instead of understanding that, they're just like, we'll just put everything back the way it was. It'll be fine. And I think that Sam's like, look at it from a different perspective. And he did a great job explaining that. It really got to me. So, and of course, you got Bucky looking on as a proud dad. And then you have John.
I don't know. I thought he was looking on as an equal because he said, "Good job, Cap."
That's true.
That was cool.
He was, nevertheless, he was proud of him. Proud of him as a friend, proud of the coworker, as a partner, whatever they're calling each other these days. They were proud of each other, or he was proud of him. But then we saw John Walker.
This is so true. Overall, I like the speech, but it was a little simplistic how easily the politics would convert. Yeah, no way that would happen in real life, but
because there'd be a lot of talking heads that would spit back at him. But for the sake of the MCU, that's kind of how it works.
We only got less than an hour to wrap this episode up.
Exactly. So then but let's not forget, we also have John Walker sitting there listening to it. So John Walker has been here since he showed up to attack Carly. Not only did she ruin his handmade shield, poor John, but he also got to see Sam wielding the shield, and damn if it doesn't look good on that man. So John's like, even though I think he realized as he's watching, you can see it in his face, like, man, he is kind of better at this than I am, isn't he? And look, David said, brother-in-law, if we get away, I hope so. We all hope so. I hope that is what they're going to be calling each other, because that would be great for the second season. Okay, if there is one. Yes, thank you. I'm glad I kept that.
I got you.
And so you kind of, wonder, like, first of all, one of the things that we could talk about is where was that kind of manic John Walker that we saw at the end of last episode? Because he didn't seem very manic to me. But he did bring up a really good point when Carla's like, I didn't want your friend to die. I didn't want anyone who wasn't important to this whole thing to die. He's like, he wasn't important? Like, good point. Everyone's important to someone else, right? So Carly definitely was not thinking a lot in some of her reasonings behind what she did and the mistakes she made. It's clear that she made quite a few mistakes on her journey to her radicalism. So Aftermath, obviously, we see that the GRC is trying to make some different changes. They have decided not to go through with that Patch Act, obviously, and try to do something different. Whether or not that works out, I guess we'll see maybe in future movies, seasons, who knows? Because I'm keep wondering how long we're going to be talking about the blip. How is it just going to be everything dealing with the fourth phase of Marvel, or is it going to carry on throughout? We'll find out. And then we kind of get to see some of the aftermath of everything that's going on. So first we get to see Sam visiting Isaiah. And of course, him and Elijah have great repertoire, as he calls him Black Falcon. He's like, someone better teach you some manners, boy. Like, it's a great scene. And then he talks to Isaiah, and Isaiah was obviously very proud of him and was like, you really didn't listen to what I said, did you? But he's like, but you are exceptional. He's like, you are amazing. And Sam's just like, thank you. And he's like, hey, I want to show you something. And so this is what Sam did, which I thought was really beautiful. He takes him, obviously he gets him dressed up. He takes him to the museum where they have the Captain America exhibit and everything like that. And they added in, he had them add in an exhibit for Isaiah Bradley. Obviously it shows that he had still died because he does want to remain dead, right? That's what the government records say. He's gone. He's a ghost, but at least they're honoring him in some way.
And they did state that it was scientific experiments against their will on the plaque.
Yep, so. Exactly. Yeah, James Avery.
That's the part that got me when he hugged Sam. That was
yes, that was beautiful. And then of course we can't have that until we have another scene. We knew it was coming, right? I didn't know if it was going to be the beginning of the episode or the end of the episode, but Bucky finally confronting Yuri, crossing that name, getting that, I guess, retribution that he needed or whatever he needed. And that was talking to Yuri and telling him, I'm the one who killed your son, the Winter Soldier. That is me. And I thought at the time it's what I had to do. And he's not, obviously wasn't proud of it. And, it's sad because obviously it is what he needed. He gave a nice little, you get to see him kind of do a little, I guess, nod to the girl he went on that one date with to play Battleship. But she's with Yuri, kind of, taking care of him. And obviously, Bucky's like, this is not a place I can be. And so
I did not like that scene at all.
You did not like it? No, why didn't you like it?
It was not handled well. I killed your son?
Yeah, what? They really rushed it.
Never told him that, I don't know, I was brainwashed. Like, I know you don't have to get into details, but it was so weird.
I know. It's like, we know why, right? We know why, but maybe it's good to tell Yuri. Like, was there part of the conversation they just edited it out for time?
And I did not like that scene where he's looking in the restaurant and he's like, well, I guess my buddy's going to be okay after all. And he walks away. I don't know. I don't think that the only part I did like was when he gave his therapist a book.
Oh, that was great. I like that scene.
Because Zemo crossed out his name, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Immortal Iron Ipsy, that's the only thing, if for editing purposes, he told the rest of the story off camera. That's what I was thinking. And I think
but the show is called Falcon and Winter Soldier. They should have shared that same kind of, if it's about redemption and it's about forgiveness and all that, then that's a very important thing. I don't think things like that should be cut out. If anything should have been cut out, should have been a lot more of those flag smashers. But anyway.
Yes, and let's not forget one thing that we did.
We didn't talk about the butler.
Well, we'll talk about it in a second. Let's get to Sam, and let's get to them. We have our beautiful little celebration in Louisiana. All the people are out there. Bucky comes down. He's having some great moments. They're all having laughs. He's holding kids up with his metal arm, and the two of them are just content and happy for this one moment in time. I think I have one of the pictures. There's a good possibility he's probably hit on Sarah a little bit while he was there. Hopefully they didn't really show it, but I'm sure it happened. But then of course we have the flag smashers, right? So there were a few flag smashers that did survive, the ones with the super soldier serum, and they were going to have them sent to the Wrath. So as they're being loaded into the truck and the truck is getting ready to be taken off, it all of a sudden blows up. And of course, the people who were putting them in are kind of shocked. And then as the camera pans out, we see there's a car sitting up on a hill with an old man, none other than Zemo's manservant. Man, that's one loyal dude, with a button and then a phone. And then we cut to a beautiful scene of Zemo sitting in his cell on the raft while the news report is playing about how the rest of the Flag Smashers were killed in this freak bomb or, car accident thing or whatever. And of course, Zemo's smiling. But then this also then cuts to Contessa Valentina Allegra Fontaine, who is with Olivia Walker, which is John Walker's wife. And she's talking about, how happy Zemo must be about all of this. And obviously it is clear that Contessa...
Oh, my friend, our friend.
Yes, our friend. So clearly I don't know if she's had prior conversations with him before all this happened, and she probably already has had some since he was put on the raft or back in the raft. And then they're waiting for John Walker to come out, and then Olivia makes a funny little comment about how he's probably having trouble with the helmet. And then he finally comes out, and we get to be revealed as U.S. agent, which is basically his Captain America costume of black minus the A on the front of it, which is what he makes know. He's like, this is the same, but in black. And so Val makes a really interesting comment to him about how things are about to get weird, and there are going to be times where Captain America just isn't going to cut it, and we're going to need other people. And then she calls him U.S. agent. That is going to be his new name. And then, of course, tells him, make sure that you answer when I call you, and then kind of leaves. And there's a cute little moment between him and Olivia. They're clearly happy. They're hugging it out. So clearly a very different John Walker than the end of last episode, but nonetheless,
I didn't get that either. Is he free? Like, he did murder somebody.
Again, yes. Well, murdered. Oh, you're talking about? Well, he was free to begin with.
Shield.
Yeah, remember they just stripped him of everything. They weren't gonna shut him down, right? They weren't gonna put him away. They just, because if they considered his previous service, they just stopped him from being Captain America and discharged him, and there we go. Got rid of all his benefits. They did all that stuff to him.
Seems like after killing somebody, maybe you need some rehabilitation, or I don't know, serve some time.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't want him to go through some rehabilitation, but from what it looks like,
end up in the raft with Zemo. But okay, let's keep going.
They didn't talk about that in the last episode when he was court-martialed. They just said, we're stripping you of everything.
Oh, I know. I'm just making a statement about
why wouldn't they do it? Because we need him. We need him in the address. We need him in more things. So obviously that now has powered the way for some other stuff, and we'll talk about that. And then as the show ends, here comes the end credits. The final title card, which I know Omar had talked about in the beginning of this whole thing, is what he wanted. Instead of it saying Falcon the Winter Soldier, it says Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is awesome.
I gotta say that was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And then we have to go through all the credits, and then finally we get an end credit scene. Sharon going through the same court appearance as John Walker, except this time she's getting pardoned, and she's getting a nice apology from the senator, talking about how the Carter name has always been about trust and loyalty, and we are sorry that we didn't, sorry. You have everything back. You're going to have your old job back. You are Agent Carter again. And as she's leaving, she makes a call and was like, look, now we got access to government weapons and government secrets and I was like, well, I guess Sharon is just not going to be the good guy anymore. So now she is definitely, yes, James Abel, Sharon all along. And Omar's talking to himself, everyone. I don't know.
I was thinking out loud. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Bucky got sidelined like that.
Yes. Well, this episode,
I'm glad you brought up all these everything right off the bat. I'm going to take back something I said last week when I said I was never a fan in the comics, even though it was designed by Alex Ross, and I love Alex Ross, but I hated the Falcon America costume. I was not a fan of the wings. I was like, it doesn't make any sense, because if you're going to take over a role, then you have to leave the other role behind. You can't be Captain America and still be part Falcon. It's either everything. However, in this show, the beautiful wings and the imagery and the CG and the way that it looked, the vibranium, and he put it to use when he was fighting Batrick, right?
Yes, he did.
Oh, that was so badass. I loved it. That was great. That was a great scene. So honestly, I liked it in the show more than I did in the comic books. Not to say, like I said, I love Alex Ross. I love his character designs. Kingdom Come. Mwah. But this costume never grew on me. But in the show, it worked. Now, sometimes, some angles, he kind of looks a little goofy with his
maybe the heat vision goggles,
but it still works. It still works. I will say, I take back that was a badass costume.
Well, I'm glad.
And it works. Yeah. The color schemes, the white on it. Oh man, it looks good. Do we think Sharon Smith?
Apparently, never in the chat thinks she's a Skrull. I hope she's not a Skrull. Honestly, I think the Skrulls will have their time and place, but I don't think it's going to be in this part of the MCU.
So I talked about. I love the speech. I thought it was a powerful speech. I love the costume. The costume is badass. It works. I like the coming to terms, the acceptance of Bucky and Sam, because it was like, yeah, you are Captain America. And then that whole acceptance of everybody going Captain America. The kid at the end saying, can I get a picture with you, Captain America? Things like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. Isaiah and Elijah at the end was such a beautiful scene at the memoriam. I thought that was really good. There were a lot of things about this episode that I didn't like, and I think overall just the series that I think just didn't work for me.
Yeah. I think this episode
calling it Falcon Winter Soldier was just, I'm sorry, man. Like, Winter Soldier had really hardly anything to do in this. It was more like Falcon and anybody but Winter Soldier, especially when Zemo came on the scene.
Well, he was only in two. He was mainly in 2 episodes.
Yeah, but he stole the show.
Seriously. Well, that's hard. He's a good actor. It's hard to do. Or it's not. I mean,
they just gave the character a lot to do, whereas they didn't give anything for Bucky to do. Like we see him at the farm. They're. By the way, the special effects again, completely awesome. Yeah. I have no idea how it's filmed. I can't wait to see the behind the scenes, but I have to find out how they do the shield. Like, there's no way anybody's throwing anything at anybody. So I wonder how the actors are. Anyway, my point is,
why do you think she's still on the Power Burger? Because Carly even called her that, and she didn't deny it. And the fact that she's like talking with her team, there's no way she's not the Power Burger. I mean, why would Carly call her that if, she even talked about how she betrayed her, and that's why she was after her. That's what we all know. They said the Flag Smashers betrayed the Power Burger. That's why. So I'm curious why you think she's still not the Power Burger, because I'd be interested. But I mean, at this point, I don't know if the Power Burger really. Well, she's going to matter if they have future seasons. But
Zemo and John Walker were the best. I would almost agree with you in the first 4 episodes. Episode 5 really changed my mind on Sam. I like Sam as of episode 5.
Yeah, but I think for John Walker, like, the one thing that this episode was missing that I was hoping they were going to go to, and I was kind of disappointed, is I was hoping he would get a little bit darker, maybe. You see that turn.
I did too.
And so he didn't seem to have, like, when he ends up teaming up with Bucky and Sam, instead of trying to fight them off, this is mine, I'm doing this. Like, that's what I expected from him.
He changed so quick.
Yeah.
When he was making his own costume Iron Man style at the end of episode 5, I'm like, this dude's gonna flip. He's gonna come in and start up shit in the next episode, and then he's like, "Hey guys," and then he's like patting them on the back.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't understand like why they were going that direction with his. I get it, like he did a turn. I mean, he fought them already once in the previous episode, and then for him to just do a 180 didn't make sense to me. But I do agree with you that, like, I thought they gave Bucky more to do in the beginning of the season, which was just him moping around and dealing with his trauma. But then as far as him coming to terms with his trauma, because they were so bent on getting Sam to the point where he would be Captain America and take up that shield, which maybe that needed to be worked on a little bit sooner rather than later, then they had to edit more of Bucky's story out towards the end of the season, which is why I think you feel that way. Because in the beginning, I thought, God, they focused so much on Bucky and his problems all the time. And Sam's just kind of along for the ride. Because a lot of people even said, like, episode 3, Sam was just there. I mean, it was Zemo, and then Bucky had his stuff. And
Zemo.
Sam was just there, like, as to me, joke about his costume or his disguise. Like, that was pretty much what he did in episode 3. So
I think
it could have done with just the editing and maybe how the story writing had progressed throughout the season, I think is maybe one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of it does fall partly. It does fall on the writers.
Yeah,
I don't think they thought things out when they're like, okay, we have 6 episodes to work with. They're about an hour each. Maybe they were writing this as a movie originally, and then they just padded it out, because that's kind of the way it feels. Because towards the end of episode 5, when Bucky leaves, I'm sorry I keep calling him Bucky, I know he's a Winter Soldier, but when he leaves, I was like, well, I guess that's the end of his run. Okay, that was it. I really thought he was gone until whenever he shows up again, because I had there was nothing else for him to do except go visit that old man. And again, felt really weird. I did not like that at all. That was no closure to me.
I was hoping there would be more on that end for him than just, I mean, what happened to it. But this is a good
point. This is a good point. Maybe filming during COVID had something to do with the length of the series and why episodes felt so rushed. That's a good point.
They did have to come back to it and stuff. And they had, because where WandaVision was filmed mainly in one location, right? This one wasn't. It was
like a set most of the time.
So that's, I think, partly why this one ended up coming out second, because WandaVision, I think, production-wise, probably was more finished and ready as a product than this was, because they kept having to delay things, stop and go. Kind of like the Batman and Witcher 2 and all those other ones, they all had issues because when you're filming on location, whereas WandaVision, you didn't have, they were literally, if you watch the behind the scenes, they're like on a studio set, right? Which was awesome. Doing it like that, because that, for most of it, until they had to go to like a back lot and do the special effects scenes, but they could just film it all. They didn't have to go to another country, which is what they had to do for this one.
I honestly, Curtis, I kind of like this. I'm confused with what happened to Steve Rogers. They talked about him like he's dead, but what's a big thing to just keep off screen? Yeah, I get the sense that they were talking about him in the past tense, but then people were like, I thought he was on the moon. Even in this episode, the guy was like, oh, I thought he was on the moon, when he's like, that's Captain America.
I really just want some.
I like that. I like that. If they keep bringing it up, I think it'll be too much in every movie, but I like the idea of Captain America. We don't know where he is.
Yes.
I like that. John Walker turning quick like that. I kind of like
that's what what did he turn into? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I liked it if he was really going to go off the deep end.
In this episode, they gave you a new, like, he was in a new kind of spotlight. Last episode, you're like, okay, this guy's an asshole. He's going to be serving time in the raft. Oh no, he's not. They just got rid of, they give him. I'm sorry, what was it again? Not dishonorable discharge, but they gave him an honorable,
other than honorable discharge.
Okay, they gave him that. So. In this, he comes back as like a buddy, like, hey guys, we really work together. Old Steve Rogers looks like Joe Biden.
You're not wrong, Louise. You're not wrong. Go on. Yeah, they gave him more of that buddy, which I don't think that was warranted for the final.
They did with Zemo already. We can't make all villains likable, but I did like the fact that you still find out towards the end of this episode, Zemo's still a bastard.
Oh, and he's
still killing all those people. Just to remind you, which is good, because there for a while you're like, oh, Dancing Zemo's so cute. You forget that he's a freaking psychopath.
Well, at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. He knew Carly had to be killed. She was killed. And he knew he wanted all the super soldiers gone. And he got rid of all of them. I mean, minus Bucky, because, he just can't go off and kill Bucky yet. But that's what they wanted.
They were going to film in Puerto Rico, but last moment they had to change location because of the earthquake. Oh man, and then COVID.
And I can't help but wonder how much of that had an impact on the writing of the show, the editing of the show, what they could. Because and keep in mind, like, even Sharon Carter, we talked about this last episode, because of the delays in production, right? Well, she was already filming another show. Now, luckily, it was also filming in Atlanta when this one was filming, so they could call her in when needed. But that's why we saw so many scenes where she wasn't with them. And she couldn't have as much of the time with them. And we had all these call-ins with her because they couldn't get her on set. So that was another issue, which would it have been the case if COVID did not work?
Yeah. By the way, good point, Ipsy. The point of Zemo was to get rid of all those annoying flag smashers. If that was the point, then I'm okay with that.
No, his point is to be used in future Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts. That's his use. That is what he's there for.
So let's talk about that really quick. Okay. Remember
just talk about the episode.
In episode 5, when I said she kind of reminds me a little bit of the quirkiness of Agatha Harkness. In this, she totally reminded me of Agatha again. Just the way that she acts. I'm not saying she's Agatha or Mephisto, by the way. Please don't take my words out of context. I also kind of like the idea of her just showing up one time in episode 5 and then disappearing into the mysterious world of the MCU, a la like Nick Fury, right? I like that. I like that. But she came back, which I found really weird. And not only did she come back, but she was like buddy with John Walker's wife. And then
I still think they're weird.
I don't know what her deal is, but I don't know if I like that or not. I kind of like the idea
of Nick Fury. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, remember when I said if they use somebody like this to recruit people to make a Suicide Squad, I don't see Kevin Feige borrowing elements from DC. I think, and I don't know if it's a pride thing. I don't know what it is, but he would be like, no, we're not going to do an Amanda Waller thing. We're not going to recruit people. So that's what kind of surprised me. That's why I was like, okay, no, they're not going to do that. But
why didn't they, though?
Because it's Marvel, and despite of, yes, art inspired by art, they like to think they're original in the first of. We've already had Suicide Squad on film.
But this won't be necessarily like Suicide Squad, right? So
a bunch of villains.
Are they all going to be villains, though? We don't know. Because, like, what if...
I'm just speculating on what may happen. I mean, if they go the comic book route... Okay, first, they cannot do the comic book route of Thunderbolts.
Are we saying that John Walker is a villain? Like, it's like in this...
This is what I read here, too.
Yes, she was.
Supposed to be a Black Widow, and that scene got moved with Zemo in the raft, because the raft was supposed to play in... By the way, I really like that shot.
I think all this is still shown in Black Widow, too. I think they're still going to have some of this in Black Widow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, from what I've read, that they did. She was supposed to be in Black Widow first because that was supposed to come out before this, right?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, but she's still supposed to be in it, making a cameo. Now, I don't know how they're introducing her, so if it's going to be like, was it supposed to be a surprise, and now it's kind of like it's not going to be a shocker when she shows up? Probably, because we all know she exists.
Yeah. Where were we? Yeah. So if she was supposed to show up in Black Widow and recruiting Avenger-like characters, that's what's gonna, we'll make our next Wednesday show fun and talk about.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that stuff more.
But yeah, I don't know I don't know if I like that. I don't like it if I like her being in 2 episodes. I kind of like her just being in 1 and then walking away and then, into a woman of mystery that she is.
Well, I almost think it was necessary. I think the reason they did it was to make them the connection that she also knew Zemo. And I think they want to drive home, because she brought up a good point in that episode, and Hayden, we'll get to your comment in a second. She brought up that good point about how things that she's foreshadowing what to expect in the MCU coming forward. She said things are about to get weird, things that we don't need a Captain America for. So she's giving the audience, she's like the one giving us, the audience, like the narrator, giving the audience a hint. Here's what you can expect in phase 4. It's not all going to be what we have come to see in the previous phases. It's going to be different.
What phase are we in right now? Phase 4? Mm-hmm. What started phase 4 then?
Spider-Man Far From...
I thought that wrapped up phase 3.
Hold on. Did Spider-Man Far From Home...
Because technically, depending on when Black Widow takes place, that's not really phase 4, is it? Because if it takes place in the past, because, spoilers.
Okay, so yes, Spider-Man Far From Home ended phase 3. So technically, WandaVision is what started phase 4.
So it really should have been this. And honestly...
No, it really should have been Black Widow, I guess. But
yeah, you're right.
It should have been Black Widow.
But we still don't know where Black Widow we don't know if it takes place in the past.
But remember, regardless, she was going to be in it. Contessa Valentina Allegra Fontaine was going to be in it. So regardless, it's setting up phase 4. So
we couldn't count it as a phase 4, right? Because it's
they were still
Captain Marvel was phase 3. So
yeah. Remember, Captain Marvel came out, but it's still phase 3. To them, it's just it fits within whatever the storyline phase 4 is trying to tell. So yeah, it's phase 4. So even if it doesn't take place necessarily in the same timeline, like after the blip. because it's going to be a big factor in Phase 4, it's a Phase 4 film. That's how I see it.
Love the music in this, by the way, before we give our final score. I love the music in the show. And you said it was the same composer that did Winter Soldier and Civil War?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really dug it.
Yes.
Although I do love Alan Silvestri's Captain America theme, I like the composer in the Captain America 2 and 3 better. This rumor's going around right now. We'll go back to this in a second.
What is that one?
About Captain America 4.
We're gonna circle back to that. Yeah.
I don't know. It was just it was run of the mill superhero show. Villains were not.
I would not say it's run of the mill.
What?
This is not to me like it, okay. Yes,
I'll take it back. It's better than Ant-Man. I did like better than Ant-Man.
Or it's not unique as a Boys or a Watchmen or Doom Patrol, but it's definitely no Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's definitely no.
Well, that's not fair though, because they have this Disney money. That's a little bit.
I know, but it's like an extended MCU movie.
This definitely feels like.
You can't call it a run of the mill show because it's not run of the mill. Because it has more of a budget.
Ant-Man a run of the mill superhero movie? Yeah, this is a superhero show.
I liked Ant-Man, and I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp either. You guys didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I liked it.
Oh, I hated Ant-Man and Wasp.
I know you did.
I'm just saying, this feels like, how do I put it? A show that will just be forgotten and part of the. He'll show up as Captain America in a movie.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think he's going to show up as Captain America?
No, I don't think you're good. No, people aren't going to just forget the movie forget the TV show.
Oh, not everybody
because of the fact that we know that he's going to become Captain America. Why would they forget the show? It gave us the biggest reveal, a new Captain America.
You don't need it.
Captain America.
You can just show up and be like, oh, of course. He left him the shield at the end of Endgame. People can put 2 and 2 together. You don't need to watch the show. I'm just saying, it in between Vision and I guess Loki, which is going to be kind of.
I think everyone's expecting Loki to be some groundbreaking series. I think it's not going to.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting WandaVision to be groundbreaking, and I really thought.
Well, I mean, and still people didn't like the ending. They still didn't like the ending of WandaVision because it ended up being like a lot of people didn't because it came down to being a run of the mill. What you want to use run of the mill superhero ending to.
I don't know why people take offense at that. I love most run of the mill.
Run of the mill usually is supposed to be taken in a negative light. Omar.
I said this is better than Ant-Man.
No one says run of the mill in a positive way.
I love running a mill right now.
But yeah. Okay. Daniel's saying pretty much doesn't agree with me, agrees with you. I didn't get to watch Invincible. Like I said, we're not talking about that this week because I wanted to give this its full attention and I want to give Invincible its full attention next week. So there we go.
Episode finale or season finale.
Sorry. I mean, was it as good of a narrative story as WandaVision? No, it had a lot of plot holes. But will people forget it? I don't think people are going to forget it.
I don't mean like forget, you remember that show. I meant like I can't.
You think people won't get excited if they announced a Captain America and Winter Soldier season 2? You think?
Absolutely, but it's just.
What do you mean by it's going to be forgotten? Because I'm trying to figure out what that means.
It's like there's certain movies that you watch. There's certain TV shows that you watch over and over again. This is a one-time sit through for a lot of people. Oh, I watched it. Yeah, it was okay. He became Captain America at the end. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Have you watched WandaVision?
I've watched WandaVision again. Yeah, that's the kind of show I like to watch.
I have because my daughter loves that show because there's babies in it and children. So I have watched WandaVision, but I was like,
the reason why I would watch it again.
Have you rewatched it?
No, not yet.
Before. Okay, but I don't really rewatch. I don't rewatch shows unless they're a sitcom that I could just put on in the back and listen to. I don't rewatch.
Oh, I do, and I've rewatched Sopranos and Deadwood and TV, The Wire, shows like that all the time.
But not everyone does.
There are some.
Doesn't mean you're going to forget about it. I mean, you're a different breed of like the average person.
There are some MCU movies that I prefer over others.
Well, yeah, sure. Me too.
That I will watch over and over. I'd watch Endgame. I think.
Yeah, but I've watched Dark World more than once just for the heck of it. You wouldn't, but I have. So you're saying that I'm inferior because I choose to watch that? and that's a movie that should be forgotten. I just don't think it would be forgotten.
No,
is what I'm trying to say.
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're hearing, and that's two different arguments there.
Yeah, but you're saying it's to be forgotten. I just think it's to be forgotten. Like, I think that's the wrong word. You're saying it's not going to be remembered as one of the better shows. That's what you want to say. It's not going to be remembered as one of the better shows. It's going to be remembered as a decent show.
It's going to be your average superhero show in the
just like some of the Marvel movies are run of the mill. Like Thor 1 was okay, but it wasn't no Thor Ragnarok to some people, right? That's how it's going to be remembered.
And then some people hated Thor Ragnarok, remember?
That's true. So it's not going to be forgotten. It's just not going to be remembered as the best of the Marvel TV shows. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's one of those shows that a lot of people will watch one time, and
I just think to use the word forgotten.
I want to forget about Ant-Man and Wasp.
You forget about it? No, because you bring it up a lot. Just like you don't forget about the fact that Don Cheadle is War Machine.
I don't let things go, man. I don't let things go. Don Cheadle. Man, when you texted me, you're like, you're gonna love the ending. I'm like, oh my god, it's Terrence Howard show.
I meant because of the title change. I thought you'd be happy to see that what you wanted to happen happened.
I did like that. I gotta say,
Captain America: Winter Soldier.
That was a nice little touch, and it gives me hope for the next season or whatever's gonna happen, whether it's a movie or what. All right, I think that's it.
Let's give our quick scores, because then we got to talk about, obviously, then of course this happens because this show's over. Hollywood Reporter broke some news that I am skeptical about, but then everyone runs with it.
You can't trust the Hollywood Reporter. We've got this covered.
I trust Variety.
I don't know the difference.
Worked with the agent.
I had a friend that worked at Hollywood Reporter. All right.
I know you did.
Out of 10 for the entire show, all 6 episodes.
Oh, not this one? Okay, let's do the whole show. That's fine. Let's just do the whole show. Yeah, whole show.
Out of 10, what would you give this show?
Okay, I would give this show overall probably a 7.5 out of 10, because there's still room to grow, which I hope there's going to be growth, but they had some missteps. But overall, Sam's arc was pleasing to me, and I do hope that he got that loan after he called the banks out. So anyone else here?
He would sell that vibranium.
He cannot sell the vibranium. It is his. Wakanda could also just give him the money too, but
okay. I think for me, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't. You're right. It wasn't horrible. It could have been a lot better, and maybe season 2 will be better. I always think of
a lot of first season stuff.
Like Joss Whedon's TV shows, like season 1s were always like, except for Firefly.
First season of Buffy was meh. Second season, the Angel arc was pretty crazy. That Innocence storyline, it was insane.
Oh my god, the Zemo. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
That's how we're rating TV shows these days? Really?
Yeah, you've seen the internet, right?
I've met the internet. You guys never disappoint. Zemo, okay. God damn it. Yes, Zemo was a 10 out of 10. I hate to agree with that.
Yeah.
And it was a different Zemo, but still, whatever. It worked.
Man, Daniel Peralta hates the crap out of this show. And I was like, I don't think it deserves that much hate, but I guess not everyone. I mean, not everyone's going to like this kind of stuff. So I get it. Not everyone's cup of tea.
I'm just glad I didn't watch any past Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That show gets a lot of hate.
It does.
I watched like the first half of season 1, and I was like, "Yeah,
it's just
not for me."
Well, it's so problematic with that show because it didn't get the Marvel. It wasn't at the time Marvel, right? It was Marvel TV, different division.
And it got like that show. Speaking of forgotten and run of the mill, that show ended up getting
Kevin
Feige, man. He threw shade at that show. He's like, "Yeah."
Kevin Feige wants you to forget that show exists. He's making it his mission to make sure that
he wants to Infinity snap that show out of existence. So much so that Darkhold and what else was it? Madam Hydra.
Madam Hydra. That's also
we don't know. That's just speculation as far as Elaine, right? I'm sorry, Contessa.
We just know that she's gone by that name.
But obviously, it's a different type of character than she is in the comic book, which completely okay. I think we're getting to the point where people don't have to tell you that. I think you just have to. You just have it's just you know ahead of time that all these characters are not like their comic book counterparts.
We have to
see Shadow and Bone, dude. Did you see Shadow?
Yeah, I know. No, I have not. It just came out today, and unlike my sister, I cannot binge that show in a whole season or a whole night because I was watching this and playing video games with my husband who's sick and doing dishes and other things like that because I am a mom but and a wife and have a job and have to do stuff for this show because I also had a team meeting today and I had to send a bunch of emails. So I have like multiple hats. So no, I did not watch that. Plus, I don't want to watch it till I finish the first book, which I have not finished the first book yet. So
I did start Mortal Kombat with my oldest daughter.
Ooh, we're gonna watch that tonight. When we're
asking so many questions, and I was like, I don't think this is gonna be better than the original movie, but whatever. There's no way you can top the original movie score. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm excited. We're gonna watch that tonight after this stream is over. Yes, Victor Hugo. Oh, wait, what was Jamie said? Jamie? Omar watched the worst bit of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Everything after is amazing. What is the worst bit, though? Because there's like
only watched the first half of season 1. I guess it got better afterwards.
Yeah, Victor.
So people were watching it because it kept getting renewed, right?
Yeah.
So people really loved it.
Yes. So let's talk about those.
No, Mark. Right, Mark?
Hey, I would totally be okay with that.
I would be good with that. And you know who else would be good with that? Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, he would.
So would Julia Louis-Dreyfus also would be good with that. I think this is a different type of character, though. Just from her appearances that she was
definitely she's works for she's gonna be like a Sharon Carter where she's gonna work for the government.
I want to know what that line means. Like it's gonna be a crazy.
It's going to be weird. It's going to get weird.
Here's the thing, without giving spoilers about what we're going to talk about the next week on next Wednesday is I think this would have been a beautiful opportunity for them to go for the government, somebody like Elaine, Black Ops, step in and be like, I'm sorry, I keep calling her Elaine, Julia Louis-Contessa, to step in and go, hey, the Avengers are missing. We've got our backup Avengers ready to go, right? That would have been a really good time to start introducing these new characters. But I almost like this way of doing it in the style of the original Avengers of Iron Man and Captain America,
where Nick
Fury showing up, knowing that, oh my God, all of this is going to be connected, and then we're going to get Thanos.
And you know the best part about it, we didn't even know about Thanos. You know the best part about it, unlike the DC Suicide Squad, you don't have to spend the first 20 minutes of the movie where these guys will be featured explaining how they all got recruited because we're going to see it in all the different MCU shows and movies. So, hey now. Oh, I hope Jack Black gets a role.
Jack Black should be Blackheart.
His Thor video he did like during the quarantine or whatever was fantastic.
Yeah. They have to introduce Taskmaster first, which they did in Black Widow, or they're going to in Black Widow.
It was supposed to be first, but we'll see.
I'd love for them to recruit him.
Yeah. So
is going to be a question. That is a good question, and one we'll talk about in detail next Wednesday.
I guess we're going to see because Thunderbolt Ross is supposed to be obviously in Black Widow. I'm really curious to see how it all plays out in Black Widow now.
Well, see, the Thunderbolt had nothing to do with Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay, that didn't come. What a weird misdirect. That's weird.
Well, that came later in like Daniel Way's run of Thunderbolt.
Okay.
So I mean, yes, he is part of the Thunderbolts, but that wasn't until decade, like 15 years later. So we will see. Hey, Gabriel, what's up, buddy? Hey, your surprise box went out to you. Tell your grandma to keep an eye out on the mail.
That's awesome.
So yes, we will come back to this. I promise. What's up, Lionheart? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Lionheart.
Okay, this is what I was talking about. There was a scene that they moved to Black Widow because Black Widow was supposed to come first. So I wonder what that scene is. And I think it has Zemo and the Raft. I think the Raft plays a bigger role because that's where a lot of the recruiting is. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this.
I think someone said that Yelena's supposed to be in that scene.
Joe Anderson, that would be perfect. He would be perfect as D-Man.
Yeah. All right, so let's quickly talk about these rumors. So obviously, of course, the day this show airs, of course, a article comes out from the Hollywood Reporter saying that there is going to be a Captain America 4 movie in the works. They say it's greenlit, right? That Malcolm Spellman, who is the head writer and show creator behind Disney Plus's Falcon Winter Soldier, is developing a 4th installment of Captain America film franchise, and will co-write the script with Dallin Mousson, a staff writer for Falcon Winter Soldier. However, they don't say where they got this information, who told them this information, and all they just say is no casting for the project is officially known. But of course, Friday's episode offers plenty of rows to feature the take. Whereas, what was it, last week or the week before, one of the actual producers of the show teased there might be a second season, and then we get a new title card at the end. So I'm like, and everyone's on, of course, every news outlet's picking it up. Comicbook.com, everyone, you name it. Screen Rant. Oh, there's gonna be a 4th Captain America movie. I was like, but did you read this? I've read this 10 times, hoping that I'd see, according to Disney exec or according to, like, there's nothing. It just says this is what's happening, but it doesn't say anything else. And I'm like, where did you get the information?
I can't imagine somebody like a Hollywood
writer. Like, is he the head writer? He's just said he's going to write it. Like,
here's a good question for you, because you keep up with all of this stuff. I don't. Yeah. Like, when I remember when I started making announcements about Marvel Omnis and reprints, and people were like, in forums and on Facebook, were like, who the hell is this guy? How does he know? Right? But I feel like the Hollywood Reporter has always had a run of like stories that actually come. I guess my question to you is, where does breaking news for movies come from? Is there? I mean, we know we got D23, which is a big deal, but that's the whole. Hey, here's all the Marvel.
It's like leaked from an executive, or perhaps like someone in one of the showrunners or a producer. Typically, that's how it's leaked, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's just meant.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be wonderful. And honestly, I mean, I would love to see him have his own movie, but I also would like to see the series continue, because there's a lot you can do, especially now that to me, season 1 of this show was just a less established where we're going to see these characters in the new MCU. And now we can move forward and really maybe dive into them a little bit closer. Yeah, I get that, James. It's just weird that we wouldn't have a source. And that's why I'm like, but there's no one, like, why can't you just, like,
you're saying, like, so we heard
to this source at Disney or at Marvel, like, they don't say any of that, which then leads to like that. Are we just making those assumptions because he is the head writer?
I'll tell you this much. I'm going to tell you this much. Because of the social commentary and the things that were talked about in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, if Sam Wilson does not get a Captain America movie, there's gonna be a bunch of people upset. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just saying there's gonna be a bunch of people.
I could see that. Yeah.
They're gonna be, you're gonna give this guy a TV show, but you can't give him a movie called Captain America. Just saying, there's gonna be issues.
But no, I agree. But I can't see why they can't do both, which would be really interesting and cool for them to do, is to do a second season that tries into a movie that kind of ends his, like, almost like definitively ends his Captain America. I don't know. Something along those lines is what would be really cool to see. So that would be neat if they could do that. Because especially with the politics and everything behind it, I feel like you could explore it better in a TV series than a 2-hour movie.
I feel the same way. I got more out of Sam and Bucky in this, even though I didn't get enough of Bucky, than in a movie, because you have that character development that you can do in episodes, like the boat scene, which I still love. That's my favorite part of this whole damn.
That boat scene was fantastic.
Loved it. It was perfect. So I think a TV show in a movie could work, though. It's gonna be interesting to see where the faces go now, especially since they had to work around COVID.
Yes.
Right? None of this is going to plan. None of this went according to plan. And somebody, and I can't remember, and I'm so sorry if you're still in the chat, I'm so sorry, I can't remember who said this, but somebody said that Yelena was supposed to show up in this.
Yes, I don't remember who it was, but someone did say that. I apologize. I saw that too.
So I assume that scene has now been moved back to Black Widow, which still works now that we met Contessa here.
Geez, Haitian refugees. Like, I'm okay with Sam Wilson cat movie if he dies and Bucky takes over and hooks up with his sister.
Are you writing that? That's some dark direction. And Bucky turns out the guy that gives out loans at the bank. You might as well just step on the dude and spit on his grave, man, while you're at it. Hooks up with his sister. That's cold, man.
Ooh, yeah, that's
okay. Crazy. So people are saying that scene has moved to Black Widow. So hey, we have something.
Oh, so I bet that scene. Okay, so maybe it was that scene was supposed to actually all be in Falcon Winter Soldier, but because
that's what they're saying. Elena was supposed to show up.
Okay, well, I guess it'll still work. Yeah.
Again, it's all hearsay.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure.
But we'll see. I know, or Maya brought it up earlier about the fact that Russell Crowe and pretty much announced that he's Zeus in the Thor: Love and Thunder movie, which we knew he was casted, didn't know what his role was, but apparently he's Zeus. So I guess the Olympic.
Are we having Hercules?
Well, that would be cool. I don't know.
That movie has a lot going for it because we still have Guardians of the Galaxy to deal with in that movie, right?
Yeah, and and James Gunn just showed the script for the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special on Instagram, which I'm super excited for.
Huh. I said this to Amanda earlier, but I'm going to bring it up. MCU X-Men should be an ongoing Disney Plus show instead of a movie. I would be okay with New Mutants.
Not the one.
Okay with New Mutants.
Not the one on HBO, right?
I think no, not that one. Honestly, that felt like a pilot anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think with another Captain America movie, Feige is pushing too much MCU on us?
Huh?
Oh man, no way. This is
it's all
MCU. I feel like it's a thing. It's a Western. It's a genre now. And I'm sorry, not MCU, but superhero movies.
It's a genre.
Honestly, I said the exact same things. I thought we were going to get superhero fatigue when Hellboy 2, the Golden
Army? The Golden Army.
Thank you. When that came out, I was like, okay. Even though it's got Guillermo del Toro, who I love, I'm like, I think people are done with superhero movies. I think superhero fatigue is going to hit us. And what they did was started to get creative with the people damn, man. It's like they took these elements from the comic books. They took chances with people that did not normally direct movies like this. Yep. Some failed, some didn't. Like, who's the person that did Thor Ragnarok was
Taika Waititi.
Seriously, right? I mean, who had seen any of his movie and thought superhero movies? But
the Wilderness movie was great, but not a superhero movie.
But to me, there was one that didn't really work, and that was Captain Marvel. Independent movie directors that came on to do this same thing as Taika.
The duo.
However, for me, it just didn't work. It kind of fell.
Well, Ryan Coogler too did Black Panther, great movie. He was not
for the CG. For the CG.
Well, we all can't be. That's true, but it is interesting what Marvel's done, and they even have taken actors who you wouldn't think that guy's gonna like. Who thought Paul Rudd? He's gonna be a superhero. That's even like Chris Pratt, like as Andy from Parks and Rec. I don't think anyone would have thought that guy was going to be a superhero.
So yeah. So my point was, it seems like not only are they borrowing story elements or mappings from
other genres,
but also the way that comic book editors would hire creative teams. Like Brian Michael Bendis, they took a damn chance on Brian Michael Bendis. He was a guy that was doing independent comics to do Ultimate Spider-Man, your at one time flagship title for the Marvel Universe. Joe Quesada, Kevin Smith, all these guys who started the Marvel Knights era. Like, this is what they're doing. Like, studios are doing now. It's like Kevin Feige is a big nerd like us, saw what they did and was like, we should do the same thing in movies. And it's working because it still makes people come and see these movies.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Man. And I'm just like
that's why they're working so well.
Part of me wishes I was younger again, that I was like, man, if I was 15 years old, this would be blowing my mind to see all these characters on the big screen. But I guess I'm okay.
But at the same time, do you like you're still blown by it though? You're still blown away by it, even in
I'm still a kid at heart.
50s. I'm not just kidding.
You bitch, what'd you say?
I was just waiting for you to I just was wondering if you're listening to me. But you're
getting a compliment, which is very rare for you.
I think it means more now that because you like at 15, those characters are still new to you. Whereas now you've grown up for how many 20 plus years? Those have been your characters. So to see them do so well on the big screen, isn't that just a cool experience, right?
It is so awesome to see people, muggles, talking about superhero movies. And I'm never one to like, you know, when people at work would talk to me about superhero movies, but that's all they know. They don't know anything about the comic books or even knew some of these comic books. Like, I was never like, actually, did you know that Road to Perdition was a comic book? Like, I wouldn't do that shit. I just talked to people because it was the stuff that I found enjoyable. And it was finally nice to talk to somebody about things I was into.
Exactly.
So, I think it's great.
Great Garley said that his local comic shop has a shelf dedicated to Shang-Chi with collections, graphic novels, and
that's awesome. Yeah. Smart. Way to cash in on the movie. Use that. Those Omnis will not be reprinted, man.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Carly. I know I just got my new near mid shirt. I'll wear that, but I wanted to wear my Aliens, Androids, and Wizards shirt for the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So what's
the big three?
I just said it.
Well, I mean, where's that from? Is that a saying from something?
You don't remember that in episode 2 of the Falcon Winter Soldier when he's like, you know, the big three.
Oh God!
And then he's like, Gandalf's not a Gandalf.
Amanda, because I forgot about it.
Oh my God! How did you forget about it?
See, I always bring it full circle, baby.
People, man. We are two different people. But I got a new near mid shirt I'm wearing on Wednesday, so I'm super excited about it. Yeah, but it's like that's what I was talking about the TV show thing, because I was talking about this Hayden. They've got they have to have some of their TV shows have to have a second season, man, because and I get it, She-Hulk probably will, Ms. Marvel probably will. I don't know if Secret Invasion will have one. Or
Secret Invasion is not
but some of their flagships, like Hawkeye, will probably like be Haley Steinfeld, which I hope is what happens. I hope that Jerry Renner kind of retires from his role, and then we get the Hawkeye series continues with just Haley Steinfeld, because she's not averse to doing television. She does the Dickinson TV show for Apple TV Plus, so she would be, I would assume, be up for an ongoing series with a title role in it. But they gotta keep some of these ones going, right? They can't all be just one-offs. WandaVision had to be, I think, because of the way it is. Maybe Loki will be a continuing series too. But there you go. I don't know. That's what, like, when it comes to the future of the MCU, I keep going back to, like, what are we going to make ongoing series and what's going to be one-offs? So
honestly, I'm so glad they did, especially they did it at like the right time, right? We didn't know that the pandemic was going to hit us, and we ended up getting TV shows like that. You know, they were already planning on doing them, but God, I'm so glad they did. Otherwise, we would have had to have waited a year and a half on the next MCU movie, which, when is it? July now? What, Black Widow?
Yeah, July 9th. And then, well, luckily after that, then it's only 2 months until Shang-Chi, and then Eternals in November, right? So that's only a couple months from there, month and a half-ish. And then a month until we get the Spider-Man 3 with every Spider-Man, hopefully, who knows. And then, yeah, hip-hop happens, Moon Knight. Like, so is Oscar Isaacs, is he going to be like, I mean, here's the thing.
So where was Moon Knight announced officially?
Well, it wasn't, Disney announced it, and then he's been
on D23 as a TV show?
Yeah, I didn't know. Not on D23. I think they just made an announcement, is what I think happened. Like a news, because remember, then they started making additional announcements, like She-Hulk, or some of the stuff was announced at D23. Because remember, they didn't get D23 last year because of COVID. So, or this past year, so a lot of stuff has just been announced on the web or on, in news outlets from Disney officially, because that's the only route they have. But I mean, Oscar Isaac's been training for it. Production and stuff is starting. So yeah, Investors Day. There we go. Yeah, they had Investors Day. That's when they announced this stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, the Investors Days and all that stuff is where they've been announcing everything. Because they don't, maybe this year we'll get a D23 with everything.
I think we will. I mean, a lot of things are starting to open up. Like I saw that San Diego Comic-Con is pushing their date from Black Friday all the way up until July. I saw that New York Comic-Con is coming open.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine invite me up to that. So, what's this I hear about Netflix characters over to the MCU? They need to do that. I love those shows.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what Feige does. Not Iron Fist. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it would be amazing if they were like, we're bringing in one character from the Netflix, and it's everybody's favorite, Iron Fist. Can you imagine that? Man, people would be throwing a fit.
So Sugarman said this, I know it's probably a joke, that Captain America will show up in Star Wars Episode 10. I just want, if they're, until the gag runs out, I'd like to see one crazy end credit scene of Captain America, Steve Rogers, no longer Captain America, who's sitting on the moon and himself. Like, it's a goofy, like, how they sometimes do goofy after credit scenes, not mid. Like, I just do one of them. Like, just, if you're gonna make it a joke, let's go all out, Marvel. Let's just make it.
Okay, wait now. I'm okay with that. Colleen Wig from Iron Fist. She's a hottie. What's up, Joe? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Joe. Yeah, Daredevil, Arya, you're right. Those are the characters I think people want the most. Oh man, I love Foggy Nights. Like, all those characters were so on point. And like, even if we just get a Kingpin, Vincent Kingpin, that's what I want, because I could see him going head to head with, Peter Parker if they continue on with Spider-Man contracts and keep that relationship going. And seeing Matt Murdock, would be awesome to see them. And but maybe see them in the street level stuff, like showing up in She-Hulk or Ms. Marvel, and those TV series would be cool too. Just something like that.
She-Hulk is a TV show, right? And it's live action.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Carl. That's it. See, that's interesting. Like, I love a Jessica Jones Disney Plus show. Now, if they cast, and I can't remember her name, the girl who played her, but keep in mind those shows were definitely not Disney Plus approved as far as the ratings were concerned. So that's where it's going to be interesting. And I think that all comes down to what they plan for the future of Disney Plus. Like, overseas, they have the Star, Disney Star, or for part of Disney Plus for like older adults, like movies that for adults, right? And I think that they need to do something like that here in the States, but we'll see what they do. I guess we have Hulu.
How do they bring in Deadpool?
That's a great question. They haven't announced where it's going to be on, but I assume right now it would have to be on Hulu, which we have here in the States, because that's I don't see Deadpool on Disney Plus, not without heavy editing, and no one wants that.
Unless he himself is editing Deadpool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know. That would be really weird to see it on there.
Kristen Ritter. Thank you, Greg. That's who it was. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else?
Nope. For right now, that's all we've got. But keep in mind, next Wednesday, or this coming Wednesday, we are doing our show is going to be focused on both of us casting our MCU Dark Avengers. So we're looking at characters who've already been introduced in the MCU, characters we think will be introduced in the MCU that might become our lineup for the Dark Avengers. We'll each kind of have our own picks. Make sure you guys come with your picks as well, and we'll kind of talk about it and see what we have. And of course, we'll talk about all the latest news. Hopefully things will appear news-wise between now and Wednesday. They always seem to, so.
Things will appear. You're right.
Things will happen. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do next week. So keep in mind, then remember next Friday, it's going to be an Invincible only show. So next Friday, we're going to do episode 7 and 8. We're going to touch on 7 and then definitely dive into the last episode, because that should be the final episode for Invincible season 1 as well. So excited to talk about that and give that show its focus that it needs. So
I just finished watching episode 7. So
yeah, I have to still finish. I'll probably do it this weekend.
The penultimate episode. So yeah.
Penultimate.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk about that. So everybody, don't forget to leave a like on your way out.
Yes, do not forget.
And I'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. me do another video tonight. I just got the DC solicits. Oh, God,
boy.
Why would they send them now? Come on, DC.
That's so late in the game. But I guess news never sleeps. Isn't that why we have 24 hours?
I need to, but I guess news never sleeps. You're right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much. So thank you for joining us, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember to follow us on all of our social media channels at NearMateCon. Remember to check us out on Patreon for $1 a month or more. You get access to Omar. He'll even do your dishes for you if you really wanted him to. And then, of course, don't forget to check out our spread shop where you can get some awesome near mint condition merchandise. I'll be repping mine that I just got today in the mail next Wednesday. So stay tuned for that fashion show.
Woo! We'll get a fashion show, everybody.
Woo-hoo! And last but not least, if it's classy and cool, must be near mint. Have a great evening, everyone, and good journey.
Good journey. Bye, everybody.